Hi guys, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thank you so much for your time. I do sincerely appreciate every time you click on my videos. Big ol' elephant in the room. Yes, I have chopped off my hair. We took about 4 inches off and added some layers so that I can curl it back. So I'm quite excited about that. I did try to scrunch up my curls as I used to wear them. And I just look like a giant dandelion. So we're gonna kind of wear the soft curl or the soft wave for a little while and see how that goes. So I've got a couple of finished projects to share with you today. It is the same pattern but done with 2 different yarns. And this one is one of the yarns that some of you may be picking up now in the Hobby Lobby clearance. This one I've had, I haven't had any luck in sales. I didn't think I got any last year, nothing yet this year. So this is either 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But this is Sugarwheel Mahogany Bliss is the colorway. And it's got 355 yards or 7 ounces. It's a gorgeous 4-weight, 100% acrylic. And there are 355 yards. Did I say that? Yeah. They suggest a 5.5 eye hook, not an eye hook. A 5.5 HI, yeah, that's an I. Where's my brain this morning? I don't know. Gorgeous colorway. I absolutely love it. These kind of, there's a deeper brown here than this sort of yellower brown up here, kind of orangish brown. And then there's like this great sort of a grayish blue and then the dark blue. So I had 3 rolls of this, 3 cakes of this, and I used just over 1. I'm trying to look to see, were they all the same colorways? Yep, it's all the same colorways. And so I've got a bit of a cake left here and some little pieces. So I did use a 6.5 K hook for my worsted weight project because I did want it to be a little bit bigger. So like, again, the yarn calls for a 5.5, but I did this pattern in a fingering weight and I used a 5mm hook. So I thought for a worsted weight, I'm gonna jump up a little bit. So again, 6.5mm hook. And I did a little bit of color control. I didn't want to, you know, on these cakes that have their own color changes, it's like, why color control? That's why you bought the cake, so that you didn't have to. But in this one, when you see yourself starting to turn color just a few stitches in, you're like, I want to clean that up a little bit. So that's kind of what I did with this. So this is the completed project. As you can see, each of the colors is represented through here, and then I got to the blue. Now this morning as I was setting up my video, I did find a 3rd cake of this, which I thought I was out of. And as you can see, I didn't have any more blue within this cake. They're not very generous with the blue, and I think that that's such the gorgeous color. So this one, I left my little note on here. I did only 24 rows. And it's just a gorgeous pattern that you can see. I heard him talk about it this morning as I was reminding myself of the pattern. It radiates out from the top center here. You'll see the pattern just come out like this. And so it's a very, very easy pattern. You are doing an increase on every other row. And so it's kind of easy to see. I've got 3 on this one, so I'm only going to do 2 on this one, 3 on this one, 2 on this one. So I thought this was a really fun pattern when I was using this yarn. You can see here, it's good size, you know, about the top of my waistline here. So it's not super duper big. I don't know that I would wear it this way at all. It's a little bit thick and bulky for that, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous pattern. And so it is called, let me get my stuff here. This one is called the Seaside Shawl, and there's a tutorial for Fiber Spider does a tutorial for it, and he used a Caron cake with an eye hook. Used 2 Caron cakes with the eye hook, but the pattern comes from Purple Iguana on Ravelry, and so sometimes I see the pattern on Ravelry, and then it directs you to somebody who's done a tutorial for it, because people who write a pattern don't necessarily do a tutorial or vice versa. So Purple Iguana has got a couple of different patterns that Fiber Spider has done tutorials on, as I've seen. So I thought that this was such a pretty both colorway and the pattern. As you, again, it's just radiates out. You start at the top of the shawl, and it's just gorgeous. It's so easy to follow along your lines. You know, you don't really have to count or think about it too much while you're in the work. For me, it was just at the end, so I made sure to get my increases in the right place. And then just a little trick that I've learned for myself when I'm working on a triangular shawl like this is that I always put a stitch marker in what I call the spine. Some people call the spine, some people call it something different. And so that way, when you're like chugging along, you're like blind crocheting like I do, you get to this point and you remember that you have to do something different. So it's generally an extra stitch, you know, an extra count of some sort to keep that point growing instead of rounding it off. So I always put a stitch marker in the V, in the spine of my shawls. So I thought this was a gorgeous colorway that I was kind of waiting on something that I really wanted to use it on. So there's that one. And so again, I've got a full cake that I forgot I had, and then I've got an extra 144 grams in that. There are 200 grams, and so I used one and a little bit of a second one. So if any of you have picked that up recently in the current Hobby Lobby sales, good for you. Let us know what colorways you used. And the next project that the next yarn that I used for the same project, it was this Honey Girl Farms yarn I showed you recently that I was caking up from the hank and waiting to find the right pattern with it. So this one's called Flying Carriages from their Harry Potter club. So the deluxe sock yarn, it is 85 merino, superwash merino and 15% nylon with 100 grams. And I've got just this much left, so I always love when I can show you what I used, all of it except this tiny little bit. And I did use, now see, this is purple, so a lot of us might think that this is the Clover's hooks. The purple is for the 4mm, the G hook, but this is some off, like it came in a kit or something, and it's an H 5mm hook. So yeah, so I had initially started this yarn on another pattern and was just like not feeling it. I showed you that already and frogged that out. So when I started working it on this pattern, I thought it was a really good looking pattern. Now the blues and the grays are just some gorgeous color ways. You can see the blues have different depths of color. They're what's that? Saturated. That's my word that I was looking for. The saturation. So some of the blue is really light and some of it is really dark. You can see that. The gray goes in and out as well. There are some areas here that show it a little bit lighter. And then here's some area where it's a little bit darker. A little bit. There you go. So very pretty pattern. Again, it just starts up here and kind of radiates out. It's a little bit hard to see the pattern on this one up against my shirt, but so it is a smaller one to wear. Did I say how many rows I did with this one? I did not. But I just worked it until I couldn't work anymore. But this one is a little bit lighter, so maybe you could wear it in the front. Again, the difference between the fingering weight and the worsted weight yarn. So I thought that was a much better turnout than the project that I started with. See? Oh, I like it. Now, this hook, again, it was just some off, I don't know if it's a boy or if it's just a no-name, but the tip of it's got kind of a hook to it, and I continued to split this thread. So working on this one was a little bit more tedious than working with the worsted weight, but I still thought it was a really nice project nonetheless, and you just work out in these little rows. So that was that one. I'm happy to have worked through another, you know, I love Fiber Spider so much. He's a great tutorialist. And then this next one that I'm working on, You know, I like to show you things when I'm already done with them, but this one is going to take me a little while because talk about tedious. I love a half double crochet. I love, love, love the look of it. I love the feel of it. It gives it a squishies, and I liked that it's faster than a single crochet. And I kind of feel, I mean, not faster, but you pull it over an extra loop, so you're getting a little bit more without taking the time to pull through a second time like a double crochet. Anyway, I found this pattern and I thought it was just absolutely gorgeous. And I started doing it and it's just tedious. Like I said, the thing about half double crochets, I don't know if you feel about them the same way I do. It's harder to count a half double crochet, I think, than other stitches, you know, than like double crochets, because the stitch itself kind of sits off center from where the loop, the top of the stitch sits a little off center from the length of the stitch. So I constantly half double crochets. I recount my work with half double crochets more than any other stitch. It drives me nuts. I love doing the double crochet, I mean the half double crochet, but when I get to the ends, I have troubles sometimes. So here's the project. I wanted to share it with you. This was also a yarn. This is my earth yarn that I started to work up another project with, and I think I found out it was kind of too reminiscent of a C to C, and I didn't want to do that. So this is one that's got a 2-row repeat, and the rows are similar enough that I had to make a little marking on here. So on one side you end with 2 double crochets and a chain 4, I mean 2 half double crochets and a chain 4, and then on the other side you end with 1 half double and a chain 3. So I had to put a little note for myself here so that I would remember when I was on each side. Whoops. But what I wanted to show you, what I wanted to share, so look how gorgeous. It is a half double in the 3rd loop, and now I've done that in the round for my baskets before, and I think I've probably done it on one other pattern maybe in my lifetime, but it seems to kind of be popping up recently. I've seen it in more than one thing, and so it just gives this really great, it pushes when you're, this is the top of the stitch, and so when you crochet into the 3rd loop, it pushes that forward on the next round. So the rows are, you know, the sides are reversible, it's interchangeable, whichever you say. And so again, with counting is always an issue for me for half double crochets. And this project I found, when I would put it down, it was hard to maintain my tension when I was picking it back up to start up again. You know, once you're going in a flow, then your tension is generally kind of steady. But for me, this one has kind of been a little bit of a hit and miss. And I wanted to share, come on, turn around. I wanted to share a little boo-boo I was making, which is why I'm showing it to you now instead of when it's complete. How much trouble you can get into if your tension's not right. So here you can see I was working on it just before bed last night, and I'm trying to show where this stitch is super drawn tight. So as I came through this morning, I can't quite, it's way tight. You can't really see it, but it's driving me crazy. And I don't necessarily, here, see, it's right here. I don't, for me to fix that, I have to pull all of this out and all the way back and then fix that stitch and then, you know, continue on again. So I got mad and I just put it down for a minute. I'm going to have to come back to that. The tediousness of it is one that I kind of want to just do like a row or 2 at a time. But there again, that gives me my tension issue that I am sharing with you. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. If I think I have to, I can't unsee it. See it right there? Boop. Hold up, baby. Right here. It almost looks like a single crochet instead. So it's going to be standing way up like that and not look good. And so I am most likely going to frog it all the way back, fix that stitch, and then continue on. So this is one where you go, I'm about a quarter way through. I weighed the yarn to see where I was. And so you start here and you grow it down, and then you know, you're supposed to weigh out your yarn or figure out when you're about halfway through. And even this one even says 45% of the way through, because after you complete your second side, then there's still a border, which I don't necessarily think it would need a border, because you got chain 3s on the top. So you got those little loop-de-doos, and then you've got a chain 4 on the other side. So you've got those spaces, you know, kind of scallopies on the other side. So I don't necessarily know that I would have put a border on it, so we'll just see how it goes. I may get, you know, I may change it up and just continue on, make it all asymmetrical and not do the V. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see how I feel when I get to that halfway point or whatever. So, all right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed your time with me. Please do come back and see me again. Have a wonderfully blessed day. Thank you. Bye-bye.